Crap,
Just
oops,
say all
crap.
the really offensive stuff right off the bat,
Okay,
you know?
we
Yeah.
are live.
Hi, everyone.
Welcome to Virtual
Hi.
Strat Code 6. Yay!
Woo!
Yay! And we are so excited to have this amazing guest, Nami Melumad. Woohoo! Incredibly talented composer for Star Trek Prodigy, who has arguably one of the best Star Trek theme songs in all the franchise, and as well as Strange New Worlds now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So thanks for staying with us. Thanks for joining us, Nami. We have this arm, Matt Boardman with us, and Jenny R. Johnson.
Woo!
That way. Everything's backwards. So how are you doing today, Nami?
I am good. I had like 3 cups of coffee, 2 tea, 2 Coke Zeros, and the night is young. The night is young.
How did you
Amazing.
know I was gonna ask you about how many cups of coffee you had?
Mhm.
Yeah, so here it is. I mean,
Yeah, you're ready.
all caffeine, all coffees are all forms of caffeine are welcome here.
I love that. I love that attitude.
Yeah.
Oh, yay.
Is today a work day for you?
Yeah, it was.
Mhm.
Working on a couple of documentary films, and
Oh,
they
cool.
require a
Ooh.
lot of a lot of energy. It's good stuff. It's just, I didn't take today off, so
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh,
So
that's
yeah.
how
very
is
cool.
Yesterday we had the final revisions for for Strange New Worlds season. So
Oh,
that was the last episode.
Oh,
But
wow.
hopefully it will air soon. But yeah.
That's
Nice. Well,
yay.
exciting.
for those of you at home, Nami's going to tell us all the
Oh
secrets
no,
today.
no,
Yes.
no.
NDA. What is this NDA?
Yeah,
What,
yeah.
NDA
what
Schmendier.
you talk about, NCA? I don't understand these letters you are throwing out at me.
No, but I can't say that this season contains my favorite episode of Star Trek entirely.
Ooh,
This is
fun.
yeah,
What?
it's really good.
So
So
That is
fun.
Wow.
high
yeah, it's really
praise.
it's a big statement. Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
because
That's
you're a proper Star Trek nerd, like the rest of us.
Yeah, so for me, the Inner Light was the one for many years, and
Hmm.
Mhm.
I feel like this is for me personally, I felt strongly that this was better. But I mean, people change
oh,
their minds, so like I
Of
just
course.
I'm curious like how people react to it. Yeah.
Wow.
nice.
Oh,
Cool though.
I can't
Wait,
wait until we can actually know when when you're like, this is the one I'm talking about. Like,
right. I
yes,
know.
we're gonna need like an update. We're gonna need you to
yeah,
be like, okay, guys, this is the episode I was talking about.
yeah.
I will.
Wow.
I really
Yeah.
want to ask that question.
I know, right? Just a number, Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Marvel
so
one.
cool.
Yeah.
Like, it has to be such a, in some way, surreal thing to having grown up and watched Star Trek, and now you're writing music for it.
Yeah, it is kind of like you're creating for this universe that you love. And I feel like it's
Mhm.
a responsibility.
Yeah.
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 So yeah, part of I mean, I'm very proud of it, and also in a way, like a lot of times I watch a cut and then I'm like, oh, like how do I make this better? It's already so good,
Right.
Um,
That's
a lot
cool.
of times there is that. But yeah, I feel very fortunate to be part of this family, and it's a
Hmm.
big family. Uh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
both the filmmakers and the fans, and like it really feels like something we all share together, and I feel very proud to be part of the people that shape this experience. But I feel
Hmm.
like the fans are also shaping this experience for us. It's like a universal thing that we all
Yeah.
contribute. So, yeah, it's again, I'm very, very glad to be part of it.
Yeah. Do you find, working on, let's say civilian projects, non-Star Trek projects, do you find there's a difference in the level of sort of that feeling of sort of responsibility or pressure in terms of making it what it needs to be? Like, is it
Um,
different?
yes and no. I mean, I feel very committed toward every project
Hmm.
and very passionate about it. And like I've met a lot of passionate filmmakers as well. When you do a Pixar show, you're all in for that.
Yeah.
And also when you do a documentary and the team is like, has been together for 3 years and
Right.
making it and
Yeah.
many hours of material and it's very hard to like edit this to a feature film. And it also becomes a family or animation. It also it's
Hmm.
Yeah.
um so but yes, there is the sort of like I wouldn't say pressure, but like there is a bigger expectation for a project like Star Trek because it has a big a big following,
Yeah.
and then there's like a lot of people who would identify like, oh, this theme was here and this motif was from
Hmm.
and oh, we heard this in this episode and this was with the Klingons so from a music perspective, you really want to you, you you really want to make smart choices.
Hmm.
uh,
Yeah.
so I try to do that most of the time. That's why the coffee, it helps.
That's why the coffee.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
So yeah, I guess
fantastic.
there's when you work on non-civilian projects like that.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's my
how
honor. My affiliation is Starfleet.
nice.
Yeah, what's your affiliation like? Starfleet, yeah.
Hmm.
So how collaborative is the process for you for creating music for a show like Star Trek?
It is pretty collaborative with I mean in this case our showrunner Henry in
Hmm.
Stranger
Hmm.
Worlds, and in Prodigy it was with Ben and Dan and Kevin, um
Hmm.
Yeah.
the showrunners, and Ben, who is an executive producer. And usually, we have an initial conversation about every episode. It's called a spotting session.
Hmm.
Where
Hmm.
we go through the episode and decide where to place music, what service, what purpose does it serve,
Hmm.
Right.
what we want to emphasize, or how we want to like accentuate a certain moment in the scene, or build, or maybe hit a joke or a beat. um so there's that initial conversation, and then I go and work on the episode and I write the music. And then sometimes we have a back and forth on like, okay,
Uh-huh.
here's what I came up with, what do you think?
Hmm.
And sometimes there will be also feedback from our editors on Strange New Worlds, and occasionally writers as well. So it is very, I mean, I feel like it helps because sometimes I've missed some perspective, or I'm like, oh, okay, this is a great idea. How did I not think of that?
Hmm.
Sometimes it's like things I don't necessarily agree with, and then we
Yeah.
continue this discussion, or I choose my battles. Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's sometimes it happens when I'm like, oh, maybe we don't need music here, and then they're like, no, we do need music. With Prodigy, it's very obvious that we need music because it's animation, and it's very like
Hmm.
it's usually the case. But yeah, I'm a big advocate for no music. And it's not because
That's
I'm
amazing.
lazy. I'm not. Um,
Oh.
yeah, it's I enjoy the collaboration. I feel like part of, working on a film or a show, you get to be part of something bigger, right? Like
Hmm.
you
Yeah.
you are part of, like, it's such a collaborative art. You have cinematography and writing and acting and directing and editing and sound and everything, there's so many other important elements that come together when you do the final mix of the episode. And then you
Hmm.
feel like, hey, I'm part of a much bigger story, and that kind of goes back to one of your other questions before. Like, yeah, it's
Hmm.
just a little something that contributes to this big picture of Star Trek.
Oh.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, do you find that there's a difference when you're writing music for, say, a television show or fiction, for fiction,
Mhm.
as opposed to a documentary that's based
Yeah.
in reality?
Yeah, I think there's a difference in the approach, because in a documentary you want to stay kind of subtle a lot of times and not like
Mm.
choose a certain perspective, or you want to let the audience kind of uh,
Right.
I mean, I guess you'll take a more natural feel a lot of times, and the filmmakers will be very careful about that, or they'll be like, okay, intentionally we want to do
Hmm.
um and you know, you will want to stay away of the action a lot of times, while
Hmm.
in more narrative stories you will actually go with the action, unless it's a clear choice that you want to go against the action. But most
Hmm.
of the time, let's say in projects like Star Trek, yeah, you will go with the action. You will support the emotions of you know, what we're trying to tell in the story, what we want the audience to feel, the characters we want the audience to identify with, you know, provide a sense of danger, provide a sense of curiosity, whatever, um, you know, stuff that happen on screen, the music will actually support that. You know,
Hmm.
comedy help establish, you know, a
Yeah.
vibe, like
Yeah.
a romantic scene. We've got
Yeah.
those. So yeah, you just want to be there to support. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
Well,
cool.
for Prodigy, you definitely captured the essence of that show just by the theme music. I knew
Hmm.
right away what kind of show I was going to be seeing. That's really awesome that you're able to tell that kind of story with music.
Well, I have
Hmm.
to say the credit
So
goes to
impressive.
Michael, though. He wrote the theme.
Right.
Okay.
But I will say,
Count.
okay, I love Star Trek music. Absolutely, right? You have written one of my favorite themes in all of Star Trek, and that is Janeway's theme. And like that,
Oh.
the title sequence, or the end credits to Prodigy. Oh my gosh, I don't know why it melts my heart. I
Hmm.
will put it on loop on YouTube and just sit there and listen to it over and
Oh.
over again, and I'm humming
That's
it.
lovely.
So that's
I mean, she's
that's
my
Hmm.
well done.
captain, so I mean,
Yeah.
not a
Oh.
captain, but like, you know, from Voyager, she's my
Yeah.
so yeah, I really, when I wrote it, I was like, well, what would Janeway be like, you know, a long time after Voyager, and like I wanted it to feel like, you know, like a grown up, you know, kind of nostalgic
Hmm.
of what, you know, how she would look at her time on Voyager, and like a more but I did want it to feel connected, so I kind of tried as much as possible, and I really like that theme too. It's
It's playing in my head right
Hmm.
now. Just so
oh,
you know.
Oh.
The whole time we've been talking, I'm like, focus on what's being said. Don't play the music in your head, Matt.
Hmm.
no, I really enjoy, like, on episode 18 we have these, like, I mean, I this is a spoiler alert, but there's a bit of a, like, a body switch comedy
Hmm.
in episode 18, and so I got to do Janeway's theme in many like different kinds.
Oh, right.
Oh.
That was super fun. Like,
That's very cool.
thought it would happen, but like, you know, I welcome that opportunity. It was really
That's
Oh,
fantastic. Man,
fantastic.
you mentioned Michael Giacchino, who I
adore. We all
oh my
do.
gosh, like his score for Lost is one of my favorite things that ever
Oh,
happened in the like history of the world. And you have worked with him on Prodigy, but also on Thor, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And on
So
Wow.
yeah.
yeah, yeah. So like
it's
what is that collaborative process like?
right.
Um, well, I think we have a very similar way that we think of drama. Um,
Mm.
and when we actually first met on a project called An American Pickle, which is a Seth Rogen film. So
Oh my God. Okay,
yeah,
yeah.
that was the first project we met on. And so he wrote a theme for that, and I kind of took that theme and developed it into a whole score. And I think that's when we kind of like realized, oh, this is, um, personality wise, I think we work very well together.
Hmm.
And then he kind of saw that I think similar to him in a way that like, okay, where would the chord fall, and like how to construct the scene, and how to like
Hmm.
tell the story with the music, because a lot of people would write great music.
Hmm.
I think the challenge is to write it to the picture. And I've learned so much from him, like
I bet.
like he'll say, "Oh, why don't we start this note like just, I don't know, 3 seconds earlier," and then the scene will have it will, the audience will be drawn to what we're seeing, what the character is seeing before she,
Hmm.
or like all sorts of like small ways in which he shapes like your your choices, like really it's structural choices or like
Oh,
spot
that's so cool.
that
Yeah.
change things in a great way. And I've we in on Thor, same, really, actually it's a very similar example where I'm like,
Mm.
I don't feel like this sits very well. Like I wrote the scene and I'm like, oh, something is not quite there yet. And he's like, oh, here's, why don't we try this and that? And then all of a sudden, this was like a text message, right? Like text him this. And he was on set directing of the Marvel film that he was doing.
Mm.
So he was very quick with messages, and I tried it, like what he suggested, and like that is so much better. And so there's little things where I'm like, oh, this is so great. Like I
Hmm.
need to, and yeah, a lot of times I still, when I write things, I hear him, even if it's not a project we work on together, but I hear him
Right.
saying, "Oh, do this, don't do this." Like a lot of times, like, come on, Nami, this is good enough. Move on.
Yeah.
No, that's good
That's
enough.
wow. That's amazing. That
Aw,
is
That's so
so,
cool.
I mean, and it's
yeah.
honestly, it's a credit to you too. Like, like there's,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
it was,
yeah. Like,
I still have the imposter syndrome. Like it's
of
very
course.
Dude,
Hmm.
yeah.
You
Very real.
know,
unavoidable.
Aaron Walke was mentioning something about that earlier
Right?
today, imposter
That too.
syndrome.
Hmm.
But I want to direct our attention briefly to the live chat because you have a lot of fans in there who are just singing your praises. Glenn Iverson, Fran
Hmm.
Iverson, Mark Zetkoff, Ward Ockheim, Joshua Reeve,
Oh, yay.
Anne Marie.
Hmm.
Yeah, just everyone saying, "Oh, she's so awesome. She's incredible. She's wonderful." And you're so incredibly talented. And it's so wonderful to see and speak with people who are so passionate
Oh,
about what
yeah.
they do. And
Hmm.
your love of music is so apparent. Could you tell us a little bit how you got started?
Yeah.
Sure. I got
Yeah.
started for all the wrong reasons. Yeah.
Sounds
So
like my Tuesday night.
yeah. So my sister played the piano. I mean, she's my older sister, so I always wanted to do what she does. I still
Oh
do.
my God.
So that was the main propeller for me to like start piano. And then they started a school orchestra in at my elementary school, and this boy that I liked, he played the euphonium.
Oh.
Nice.
So I should be in the orchestra. I
Amazing.
should be in the orchestra. So there you go. That's how it started.
I
That's
love that.
fantastic.
But yeah, but later, I mean, I also really loved music.
Mm.
And I watched a lot of films like and then I remembered the music of those films, like
Hmm.
most famously Home Alone, that has
Oh,
such
right?
a
Wow.
such a fantastic score that I can still hear it in my
Hmm.
head.
Yeah.
And Pirates of the Caribbean and Lord of the Rings
Oh
and
my
Harry Potter and like and then yes, Star Wars, Star Trek.
God. Hmm.
It's funny because I got to know Star Trek because of the music first, and
Oh,
same,
wow.
I haven't seen the Star Wars, but I knew the music.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh,
I began
cool.
very like there's still a lot of scores that I know and I've never seen. I mean, have caught up,
Hmm.
but you know, like The Rock, for example, is a movie I've never seen, but
That's one of my
I love
favorites.
that score. You know?
It's so good. It's so good. I love that
Score.
so much. Oh my God. Yes, the music is incredible.
Yeah.
Like
So
for just like a
I haven't
90s
seen
action
it
movie.
either.
It's
Yeah,
Hans
but
Zimmer.
yeah.
That's Hans Zimmer.
Yeah,
You can't go
exactly.
wrong with
Exactly.
Hans, you know?
Exactly.
I really should watch. Yeah, it's very you know, that's kind of how things started for me. And there was also a very famous film in the Netherlands called The Tweeling.
Mm.
In English it's Twin Sisters, and they got I think they got nominated for Best Foreign Film 2003. But
Oh, okay.
that score, I was so obsessed with that score that I went into every shop that sold CDs in the
Mhm.
Netherlands to find where that score, and eventually that worked out. My parents were very you know, I was like 12, so
Mhm.
my parents were very upset about this whole but they were supportive. They're still super supportive. I mean,
Mhm.
and yeah, and then I learned how to play that score on piano, and that kind of drove the whole like, oh, maybe if I can play it, I can write it. So
Mhm.
that was
Ooh.
Oh.
incentive of like, oh wait, like this, you know, if you take out the orchestra and you take out all the jazz stuff and you know, you know, really analyze it to harmony and melody, then
Mhm.
Mhm.
got it. Like, and for me, like that's been my you know, my realization that it's a possible thing, and you know, it's achievable and all of that. So
Mm.
that's how it started. All the roads
Aw.
led to good. So you know,
It's always about a boy, isn't it?
Right.
we were together for 2 years.
Oh.
Yeah, when I was 18.
No,
Yeah, it took a while.
You were like,
but it
hey,
still
dude,
happened.
Yep.
Dreams do come
look at
true.
how I can play this music. How you doing?
Yeah, I learned not to date musicians. I'm just
I've heard that.
I've heard this too.
so fun. Yeah. Oh.
Oh my gosh. Speaking of musicians, I see a guitar and a drum. How many instruments and
Oh,
what
there's
instruments do you
quite
play?
many guitar
Yeah.
Oh wow. Oh,
Oh my
whoa,
gosh.
whoa,
Look at that.
Oh.
here.
whoa.
So yeah,
Cute.
I play a lot of instruments. Sometimes I just want to kind of really play with them in a like in a way that I mean in a like you like you play with a game, right? Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
so I'm like, hey, what if we take, you know, the violin bow and put it on like a ukulele, and it
Oh
sounds
wow.
so I like doing all these kind of experiments and see like really just kind of play and see how it goes.
Hmm.
Yeah, I would say my pro instruments are like the flute, the piano, and guitar. Everything
Wow.
else is just like for fun and like
Right.
to experiment and see what happens, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, I
I
love
did
that.
play my way on drums. I got like a free night. It was in China. So and they were like if you
What?
play because yeah, they were missing a like a drummer for the band. It was like the celebration or something. And and we were at this place and they were like, you know, we need a drummer. Can you play? And then they were like, okay, you can stay here for free. So it was like backpacking place. Anyway, like long
That's so cool.
um
That's
yeah,
awesome.
maybe I'm not that bad a drummer.
So you're saying you got rhythm.
So you say you
Yeah.
got rhythm. So
Yeah.
which one is your favorite instrument?
My favorite instrument is probably the piano still.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh,
There's
nice.
so like delicate about it. I do really love writing for clarinet.
Oh
Um,
wow.
Oh,
I think it's noticeable in my scores even for Star Trek.
It is. Yeah.
It's
yeah.
such a flexible instrument. You know, you could play klezmer, you could play jazz, you could play
Hmm.
romantic music on it, you could play like playful comedy. Like there's so much flexibility and the range is crazy.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Clarinet is really big. So it's yeah, and then you have the cello, which everyone just
Oh.
melts your heart.
Yeah.
And
I love the
Right.
cello.
cello.
Yes.
Both
Soft
it's like a
spot for the
come and joke on
cello.
Star Trek and Strange New Worlds, like I'm like, Tim, I did not write a solo for you this time because he always um, but yeah, so that's these are the two, I think.
So when you talk about sort of, that experimenting and, making music with different, different approaches to instruments, what are some examples of some ways that you've incorporated that into either Prodigy or the scores for Strange New Worlds or
Um, I actually, the example I gave for is was actually from a horror film because
Oh,
that
oh, yeah, yeah.
there's specific sounds which you will do, and they will be like
Ooh.
not for Prodigy,
Yeah.
not super appropriate for Prodigy.
hmm
Well, I would not put my terrible bowing guitar skills. But we have done experimental stuff like more on percussions and like guitar.
Mm.
But that is done by professionals and not me.
Right.
Aw.
So yeah, there was actually a whole session that we did with I think this is for the upcoming season that you will see, but there's we did an episode where it was I went to the studio of the percussionist and we tried like a bunch of really different things. I didn't even know these instruments existed
Oh,
because
cool.
like all sorts of like, oh, I took this from here and like this is a metal,
Yeah.
like I've never seen these instruments and and I was like, what if we do this and that? And so we tried all sorts of things, which I think you will hear in one of the episodes. I think it was in the one of the okay, I can't say. Sorry.
Yeah.
We almost
You
had
were
You're
it.
doing
that
great.
close.
You're
You
doing
were
great.
so close.
I don't want to get in trouble with
Nope.
Right. No.
Well, okay, question for you, and this is Mark Zutkoff in the live chat had this question. So when we during next gen, at some point we had Ron Jones at the beginning, Ron Jones and Dennis McCarthy, and Ron Jones took the heavy lifting, right? And then at one point it was said that Rick Berman was like, I need the music to be more background. I think they described it as wallpaper.
Right.
And which was always kind of a little sad to me because I really enjoy a lot of Ron Jones stuff. So the question to you is how do they want you to approach the music in Prodigy and Strange New Worlds? Is it more like this needs to be kind of wallpapery, or do you get the opportunity to have those scores be another character that adds to the scene?
I would respond first on Prodigy because I feel like that was a very like from the get-go we talked about the music being very present and very like
hmm
active and it's an active score that's like the last thing I would say on it like that it was wallpaper in any kind like it was so present and even loud actually at times
hmm
I would come to the like the final mix. I'm like, oh wow, okay, they really wanted all of that. And I think that also makes a lot of sense because it's written in a way that is really around the dialogue, and I'm never trying to
hmm
for overwhelming it. And I it was a very smart use of like timing and themes, and I take a lot of pride in actually timing it and this is something that in animation everything is like so quick. You have 22 minutes to tell the story and so everything is moving really quickly. You often have to jump between drama to chase to a joke to
hmm
mystery within the same cue. And so that timing is so important and how you spot within the scene. And so I feel like the trick here is um to stay active and stay supportive, but between those, don't interrupt, don't take over, don't distract. Um,
hmm
and I would say the same thing about Strange New Worlds. I feel like the score is relatively more active, and more reactive. It's at times there's like things that take more priority, like sound effects, like dialogue, like yeah, I mean it happens a lot. Um, and sometimes you just want it for the mood, but never have I felt like, oh, it needs to be a wallpaper, or if anything, I often in those meetings they were like, we want the music to do this and this and this and this,
Hmm.
we want music here and here and here. And so it feels like the music has a very special and important place in storytelling. And I really appreciate it when, filmmakers are appreciative of music. It's like, and it also
Yeah.
advises me to do a better job. So um, I wish they didn't say that to Ron Johnson,
I
honestly, because
know, right?
I do like
Right. Well,
his
yeah.
stuff as well. I mean, it's yeah, but I get what you're saying.
Well,
Hmm.
the people who tell you we need more of your music, you know what we call those? We call
Uh,
those smart people.
yeah.
Well, I mean, you mentioned the score to Home Alone,
Hmm.
and of course, that's John Williams. And if you think about how many, I speaking for myself, the number of movies that I enjoy because it's a John Williams score, so I
Hmm.
just think I just I have a love of music, and I think that it influences us. It makes us feel things. It it changes the entire. It can take a scene that normally would have been like, all right, it's okay, and with the proper music, with
Hmm.
like a swell of music or whatever, it elevates it to something else. That I mean, what is the ET? What are we doing flying over the Los Angeles
Hmm.
on bikes if we
Mhm.
don't have
Yeah,
the
Yeah.
flying theme from,
right.
so I mean what you
Yeah.
do is is a very, very vital and important part to how we feel about these episodes.
Right, and it creates a cinematic, like it feels more cinematic, it feels bigger, it feels like
Hmm.
you're seeing a movie. And I feel like actually both with Stranger Worlds and Prodigy, like you really felt like those episodes are a whole, they could be a standalone. A lot of times it could be just a standalone. And I feel like the music does really support that feel. And then the other thought that came to my mind when you were talking about it, it was like, I mean, this is an orchestral score similar to
Yeah.
ET. I mean, not ET is so much like, I mean, it's like in the
Yes, similar to ET. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah. I wish I did not give
Yes.
myself that compliment. But what I mean, this is, the producers understand the value of a real orchestra,
Hmm.
and they
Right.
Yeah.
extended our budget as well. From season one to season two, and from season two to season three. So they do really see the value and support that, and want to facilitate like as much as they can to help the music shine. And so I
Hmm.
that like um and Star Trek has been very, very, very smart about it. I feel like part of the reason that we are all so connected to it is the iconic music
Oh
that
yeah.
franchise. So
Hmm.
Yes.
Oh.
I love that.
I
I
know,
love
right?
that.
Oh,
Yes.
So
I
we're
want to hear
talking.
more.
I know, right?
Yes.
We're talking about like elevating, and so I mean, obviously, you've been working on some like really fantastic projects. Like maybe if we go back a little ways and not, you don't have to name anything, but have you done projects where, you're looking at what you're like what it is, what the film or the show is, and you're like, huh? And then you sort of but by the end you're like, that was me, I did that. You know what I mean? Like have you
it's funny. Sometimes you get I mean, a lot of times,
a challenge?
yeah, because sometimes you get something that doesn't have music or has like a temp score that really doesn't work, or
Mm,
a certain scene or even a certain episode, and that happens like across everything. To be
sure.
There are episodes that are, sometimes stronger and sometimes like a little weaker. And
Yeah.
sometimes I'm like, oh wow, I really helped that. And
That's
so yeah, there are projects like that. That's also my job. Like I
yeah.
have to remind myself, like, oh, this is actually, it's because it lacks the right pace. It lacks the
Hmm.
feel. And I think when filmmakers actually understand that, the product, or like the final thing that we do will
Hmm.
be better. It will be benefited, or it will benefit from like the
Yeah.
of what I can bring to it. I like a
Mhm.
challenge, I do.
Mhm.
It's like a puzzle sometimes. You're like, oh, what
Yeah.
here? And sometimes you'll try again and again and again. And like I've had projects where I went to version 8 and version 11. I think the most was version 14 on it was a little short film.
Mm.
Like a few years ago. And
Yeah.
actually, the director was very sweet about it. And eventually she was like, "Oh, here's," I mean, this is an indie film, so she was like, "Oh, here's a little bit more budget because I know
Yeah.
you worked like extra on it." So I was like,
Mm.
and I was like, I did it because I wanted to make it work,
Yeah.
land on the right thing. But I mean, eventually we did. It just took a while.
That's great. There's a couple of good questions in the live chat. From Charlotte Brockman. She
Okay.
asks, what advice would you give young girls that want to do what you do?
Mm.
Oh, wow. Okay. I think just go for it. Like, okay, first of all, believe in yourself. If you want to do this and you feel like you are talented, go
Mm.
for it. Like, learn hard, work hard, get your hands on every project that you can, whether it's a short film, whether it's a documentary, whether it's a little commercial, an image film for whatever company, everything, like a 1 minute animation practice for a first year student of
Mm.
animation, like everything. I still have things that I did, thesis films or short little stuff that I'm super proud of, and like, oh, this
Yeah.
I one of honestly the thing that kind of opened my career and got me to where I am today was because I did this little choreographed, it was a collaboration with a choreograph from the Jerusalem
Mm.
music, and I did music for her and I put it on my website, and that's kind of
Wow.
like sort of that was the one that made me get hired on like this little short that led to a show that led to like everything else. So
Mm.
I feel like the more you create, the more you do, the more you learn, and that's kind of how you get there. The other two
Mm.
things that I would recommend is be nice. And so get,
Aw,
you know,
yeah.
help others, be friendly, like
Mm.
people want to hang out with you. Uh
Hmm.
Not just filmmakers, but everyone.
Yeah.
Friends, and be passionate about, if about what you do. And the last thing, which is like a bit of a tricky thing, is like get lucky. And that's like factor of luck and how you know, um get into this career. But I think the more you create your luck, the more you're,
Mm.
really passionate about it and going for it, then the more chance that the luck will come to you
Yeah.
in the right
Mhm.
place, the right time. It's like a lot of people will say like, you want to get, the invitation to the room, you
Mm.
want to open
Right.
doors, but you have to also be able to stay in the room, right?
Yes.
Hmm.
And then for that you need all this experience and all this, like, so that's what I would advise to anyone, really, not just young,
Mm.
like specifically young girls, like don't take no for an answer. And there's like so many guys out there that will try to, but also
Yes.
too, I mean, it's it's a tough industry to
Yeah.
to to be part of, but like it's
Mm.
doable. And I keep seeing like a lot of young up and coming female composers and like big female composers that have already won the Oscar and like won the Emmys, and like it's really wonderful to see. So I don't think I don't think the gender should prohibit you from doing anything, really.
Mm.
Agreed. Agreed. The other question was from Lucia Raz, and she
Ah.
wants to know, do they give you what do they give you to make the music? Like the script in advance or full episode, or
Mm.
um is it, yeah,
Um,
what tools do they give you to write the music?
right. So it depends on which project. I will answer on Strange New Worlds and Prodigy. Um,
Hmm.
with Strange New Worlds, I usually work on a locked picture. So once the shooting is concluded, the film, the episode, the editor starts working on the episode, I think, while they're even still shooting.
Mm.
So, and it's a process that everything happens simultaneously, because they
Hmm.
finish shooting and they're moving to the next episode. So it's like a whole kind of a train thing.
Yeah.
and so they start editing. They have the first cut, the director cut, then there's like a network cut and like a second network. I think there's like 3 cuts until it gets to my to
Oh,
my
wow.
so it's considered a locked picture, which means like they're happy. The producers and the network are happy with the cut, and they like, okay, this is the timing of everything. This is how we want to structure the story. Um, and then they send this file, and this is the file we start working on with a locked picture.
Mhm.
This is kind of a really good scenario because it's not always like that. This is what I love about track, because it's
Oh.
very organized like that. This is considered like a good scenario. Um, Waste your time on like things that will not be in the final picture. Uh,
Right.
Right.
and other projects I've done, even even big ones,
Mm.
just don't lock picture, or like they'll lock it like at the mix, or stuff that are like,
Yeah.
and you prepare for every option. And sometimes you would even record music that is not
Ugh.
going to be used at all, or maybe
Ugh.
used somewhere else, which also happens.
Yeah.
So that process can also be messy.
Mhm.
Usually the preferred way would be the locked picture. With
Mm.
Prodigy on the first season, I did start earlier than that because it's animation. So I got sometimes like the animatic, which is
Right.
the black and white, maybe with a little bit of color here and there, but you have the recorded voices and you have the timing, and that's what's
Mhm.
like, is always the timing and sort of understanding what's going on in the in the story, and the voices help. But yeah, sometimes you have a picture that's not really clear, and
Mhm.
I'll ask the showrunners like, hey, what is what is this?
Yeah.
Is that an explosion? What So I do like that stuff too. And I think the second season we already started working on like animated versions. So that was, I think that for me it was more fun because I already see like the color and the
Mhm.
tone, everything. It's just more fun to work that way. Um Occasionally you do get scripts early if you need to provide something for set.
Right.
Mm.
Song, or like maybe music that is being played by one of the characters or stuff like that
Right.
for inspiration. And that has happened a lot actually with Strange New Worlds, and in fact is also going to happen for season 4.
Oh,
So
interesting. Okay.
Ooh.
That's
yeah,
cool.
Yay.
yeah.
Season 4 cheese too.
Mm.
That way I get the scripts in advance so I can
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
So that actually, oh, sorry, go ahead.
no,
No,
go.
go
It's
ahead.
just saying that was great.
Mhm.
Go.
You just made me think about the musical episode because I know other writers came in to do lyrics
Right.
and music.
And music, yeah.
Yeah, but you still worked on the score for that
I did
episode.
before, yeah. I actually
Yeah,
did the songs very early on when they were in the demo version, just so I
right.
had about what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
I wasn't, I mean, I wish I was more involved in like the actual musical. Sadly, I wasn't.
Mm.
But yeah, I mean, I think the only thing that we really tried to, oh, I did the end credits. That was fun.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, in terms of like what's it, what part of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I tried like, to sort of like leave enough room and like kind of do the transitions in a way that would make it work.
Hmm.
I remember, I think there was I think it was toward the end, right before the final song, that they were like, "Oh, this is too long." Like we had a bit of a back and forth there because of the songs and because of like,
Mm.
oh, there's an intro for the song and I didn't know about like that kind of stuff.
Right.
But yeah, and I think the first one of the first establishing cues in that show has like Uhura kind of like on the like Uhura at work kind of thing, right? We have
Yeah.
a collage of her. So I was like, okay, this would be my sort of establishing. This is not the regular episode, and I feel like the score kind of hinted that there as well. Uh,
Uh-huh.
we're not, this is not in the regular, you're in for something different, and I feel like that kind of was the tone there. So yeah, but it
Oh,
was fun.
that's cool. Yeah.
It worked for me honestly because there was so much so many songs. So I think we used actually some of the time to work on other episodes.
Oh my God, amazing.
Wow.
We're like, okay, why don't we use that for episode 10? Because that was like more like a
Oh,
bigger
right.
score episode.
Oh, that's
Intense
very
stuff in
cool.
that episode.
Yeah, you know, it was a very, very efficient budget thought.
Hmm.
So, speaking of like intense music, is there a style like when you get to an episode, like do you have a particular style that you find really fun to write for, like
Ooh.
intensity, or do you like the softer, more like the emotional moments more?
I love comedy. Like,
Oh,
Oh my
awesome.
yes.
take the comedy on every possible like I just really enjoyed that one. Like that particular. Luckily, there our writers also really like comedies, so we have a lot of that. And I just yeah, it's just I guess because it's also the my favorite genre to watch. Like I mean, I love drama too, and I love that.
Hmm.
I also enjoy thrillers. Um, but in a way, like comedy is so it's lighthearted. It's like it kind of it you have expectations, then they are like reverted in a way. Like it's always so um you know, I love laughing. It's fun, you know. And
Hmm.
it's it's enjoyable for me. So I also
Yeah.
sing and be part of that and create that. Um yeah. And it's actually more work to be honest. Like I think
Mm.
hardest genre to write for.
Oh, that's cool.
And I think most composers will probably tell you that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Because is it more like, is there, I mean, you're not driving it in the same way. So there's some restraint involved or
Yeah,
like
there is.
it's,
I mean, sometimes you do have to drive things, but like there
yeah.
you always want to build to the jokes. You always want to like it's hard to make people laugh, right? Like and
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know, you don't want to overwhelm. It's very it's again all about timing, all about beats, all about
Hmm.
like you know you know the again for lack of a better word the expectations are reverted. Like you expect one thing and then something else happens, or
Right.
you didn't think about, or like something you're or maybe it is something you exactly expect. So it's like you're playing with the audience's thoughts in a way.
Hmm.
It's very fun for me. It's a challenge.
That's
Uh,
so cool.
yeah. And
Aw.
I love it when it's actually serious. Like a lot of times you'll have like serious kind of straightforward playing like actors.
Hmm.
Um and and that's what makes it so funny. Like so I mean, when I worked on a show called The Woman in the House across the street from the
Right.
that's a perfect example of like this is a comedy. It's funny. It's like but you know, sometimes you actually choose such, you know, music that is so straight. It like it plays the action and the drama. And so the drama, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah, we actually I think in season 3 that's coming, you'll see a little I mean part of stuff that we talked about here.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Oh.
Sorry, I'm
Yeah.
not
Well, I was
talking
gonna
about
say that would work for Spock because
yes.
he's kind of the straight, but there's so much comedy in that.
Hmm.
So that could definitely work for music too. Oh, you were gonna say something, Jenny?
Oh,
Were you?
it just fell out of my head. I was
Oh,
like,
sorry.
no, 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 no. Um, what was it? I don't know.
Whoops.
Come, come. I don't know.
Music,
I don't know.
comedy.
I'm
All
sorry.
right.
Oh my God.
Well,
smells.
on that note, and speaking of
Thank you.
timing, we are pretty much out of time.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
So fast. It goes so fast.
I
I
know.
know. Where did the time go? Oh, Nami, thank you, thank you, thank you so much for being here. It's always wonderful to talk to you. Your energy is just so wonderful, and I
Mhm.
love that you love music so much. And I just want to hear you talk about it
Yes.
more
Mhm.
because it's just so infectious. Um, for the rest of the people in the live chat and virtual TrekCon 6, the video, the link to the video is in the description box below. So go there. It's the re-premiere of Connor and Dominic's
Oh, lovely.
Oh,
talk
bless.
with Sirach and Ryan. So don't want to miss that for you night owls and
Delta
some of
shift.
our Delta shift
Exactly.
and some of our international friends too. So yeah. So thank you. And we will see you all soon on Virtual TrekCon 6.
Woohoo!
Woohoo!